Well, that is a look at American Family Field in Milwaukee, home of the Milwaukee Brewers. The day has officially arrived. Opening day for the 2021 Major League Baseball season, but it's already off to a bit of a rocky start for some teams. Tonight's matchup between the New York Mets and the Washington Nationals has been postponed due to COVID-related issues. The Nationals were already missing some players because of positive COVID tests. As for the other 28 teams playing today, it's the first time that they'll do so in front of fans in more than a year, really since the pandemic began. Although attendance will be capped at most stadiums. We should note that. Teams across the league are taking some extra measures to ensure safety during the pandemic. For example, Boston's Fenway Park will sit fans in pods of 2 to 4 people, each separated by 6 feet. For more, let's bring in Matt Snyder. He is an MLB writer with CBS Sports. Hey, Matt.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. Let's start with the pandemic as it relates to baseball, as it will impact baseball. In Texas, businesses there are now legally allowed to operate in full capacity. They're allowed to be open, and that decision, of course, came from Texas Governor Greg Abbott. The Texas Rangers, who are based in Arlington there, just outside of Dallas-Fort Worth, say that they are not implementing any attendance restrictions this season. That means, 40,000 people could be packed into the stadium on any given night. And President Biden was asked about this on ESPN last night. Let's take a listen to that first.
Well, that's a decision they made. I think it's a mistake. They should listen to Dr. Fauci and the scientists and the experts. But I think it's not responsible.
That is the president's take. What's the reaction been to the Rangers' decision around the league, Matt?
It's kind of mixed. I mean, there's a lot of guys who have been pretty vocal about how they really want to play in front of crowds again. And, a packed house, that kind of gets guys' juices flowing. But we also saw a decent number of players opt out of last season due to concerns about their health or the health of family members. So there are a good number of guys who are also taking this very seriously. And I think there are some with the feeling that we're not all the way back, so this might be kind of rushed in a way. But again, there's also a group of guys that kind of really wish that every single stadium would just go 100% and just kind of rip off the Band-Aid. I will say this, if there are major concerns from people out there that the Rangers are going to have a packed house every single night, I'm here to alleviate your fears. The Rangers are one of the worst teams in baseball, and them getting 40,000 every single night is not really a realistic thing at this point.
You got other problems to worry about, like winning and losing.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, the Los Angeles Dodgers are among the favorites to win the World Series this year. It would be back-to-back for them. Granted, last season was a truncated season due to the pandemic. But what are your thoughts on the Dodgers this year? Are they the best team in baseball?
Yes, they are. And I don't really think it's particularly close. I mean, you could make an argument heading into last year that they were the best team in baseball, and then they went out and traded for Mookie Betts, who's the second best player in baseball behind Mike Trout. Heading into this year, you could have made an argument that they were the best team in baseball, and then they went out and signed Trevor Bauer, who won the NL Cy Young last year. You team him along with Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler in the rotation. The bullpen is very, very deep, even if Kenley Jansen's not what he used to be. The lineup is as good as it gets in baseball. The main thing with them is their depth. Their bench is so deep. Their organization going into the minors is so deep. Injuries really shouldn't impact them that much. I mean, they will impact them to an extent, but not the way that it would with other teams who don't have the organizational depth that they do. They're so good and so deep. They're by far the best team. They're the favorite to win the World Series. But that still means they're probably like a 15 to 20% chance that they're going to win the World Series. That means if you're going to bet on a team, you bet on the Dodgers. But if you have the choice between Dodgers and the field, take the field.
Yeah, that depth could help with injuries and potentially with COVID issues, which is something we sort of have to factor in now, right? Let's put up for a minute who you, Matt, who you believe that the division winners in each division will be. You see them right across the screen there. Probably not a surprise for most of these choices. If anything, you might be able to make an argument in the NL East there for, maybe the Mets. They got a strong pitching rotation, strong bullpen. Maybe even the Nationals. I think the bullpen's going to matter in that division. Any surprise teams that are maybe a little under the radar right now that folks should be keeping an eye out on that aren't necessarily any favorites right now?
Yeah, I don't think this would be a huge surprise to diehard fans who have been paying attention all along, but like to casual fans, the San Diego Padres really need to get talked about. I have them as the second best team in baseball right now. They just have the unfortunate reality to be in the National League and to be geographically right next to the best team in baseball in the Dodgers. The Padres are outstanding. Young superstar Fernando Tatis Jr. leading the way, veteran superstar Manny Machado right next to him on the diamond. They traded for Blake Snell, who won the AL Cy Young just a few years ago. They traded for Yu Darvish, who was second in NL Cy Young voting last year, taking the ball tonight on opening day. That's a really, really good team. I also like the Blue Jays. They already had a lot of good young talent in the lineup. Everybody might be familiar with the name Kevin Biggio because of his dad, Craig Biggio, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They added George Springer in free agency this year. They added Marcus Semien, former All-Star with the A's in free agency. A decent pitching staff with some upside there. And finally, I would close with the Angels because it's Mike Trout. And I always, for any fan, you should want to see Mike Trout make a deep run into the playoffs. And they have the added element of Shohei Ohtani. I mean, we've got a guy who's trying to become a pitcher that throws 150 innings and a hitter who takes 500 at-bats as a DH. We've never seen that before. I know pitchers used to hit, but once the DH was put into place, we've never seen a pitcher kind of be full-time pitcher and full-time hitter. He's all the way back from Tommy John surgery. He's throwing 100 in spring training. He's dropping bombs in spring training. Watch the Angels. They're going to be fun.
Nothing better than talking baseball on opening day. Hopefully a long season to look forward to. Matt Snyder, thank you very much.